Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Balance in Mind parent chat tonight. We are so excited that you are here. My name is Coach Sherry. For those of you who haven't visited us before during parent chat, I'm the founder of TeenWise, but tonight I'm here as a volunteer for Balance in Mind. We are very lucky that Balance in Mind is funded by the Lake Washington Schools Foundation. And next week, they're having a fundraiser. So if you have the time, we would love for you to attend. It's called Be the Bridge. We will put the link in the chat box, so it's not too late to sign up. There's going to be a meet and greet starting at 11 o'clock, and then at noon, there's going to be, of course, there's going to be a presentation and such, so you can get to know more about what the foundation is up to and what's going on in our district, and to find out how you can support and how you can help as well. This is one of the many programs that the foundation supports, and Parent Chat was created so that we could bring mental health resources to you as parents and to the kids in the district. And tonight we're focused on teens, but really everything that we're talking about trickles down to the younger ages too. So if you have younger kids, this is still relevant to you, I promise. It's all about how to connect, how to talk about mental health. There's just so many pieces to it that every single thing that we bring to you in this community supports mental health and mental well-being, because everybody has mental well-being that they need to take care of. So tonight we have Tanvi with us, and we are going to invite her on screen. She is amazing, I will tell you, an actual teen. So we're hearing from someone who's in the trenches of what's going on. And she's going to take it from here. And I'm just kind of a bystander tonight. I will be watching the Q&A box and the chat box. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A and we will answer them when we have a chance. And feel free to put comments in the chat box. We will be watching that too. All right, so Tanvi, hello, and welcome tonight.
Thank you so much, Sherry, for having me. And thank you all for coming as well. Can't wait to get this event started and start interacting with all of you as well.
Excellent. So Tanvi, I'm just going to take myself off screen. If you need me, let me know. I am here. And like I said, I'll be monitoring the boxes for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me and for the opportunity. Sounds great.
Sure. And the screen's all yours, by the way.
Perfect. Can everyone see this all right?
Yes, we can see it fine.
Perfect. So the kind of idea today is really to, either if you're a parent or if you're a teenager, to just kind of get mental health tips, having conversations between the parent and child in the mental and well-being area. So that's kind of the focus of the day today, and I'm kind of very pretty. Before I get started, I also wanted to say Happy International Happiness Day. It's March 20th, and that's International Happiness Day. I actually have my blog post that I posted today about happiness paradox and how showing empathy can spark that inner happiness within you. So you can check that out as well. And the link is tanvi.us/blog. Really hope all of you got some good time to do self-care and bring happiness within you and within your relationships and family and friends as well. So before I get started, I also wanted to share one of my favorite breathing techniques. This is an amazing breathing technique that you can use when you're stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, when there's so many things going on and you're having a hard time breathing and you just feel so many things, but at the same time, not able to control yourself. So the kind of idea of how this technique works is you breathe in for 4 counts, then you hold for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts, and then hold for 4 counts again, and repeat it as many times as you like. So why don't we do it together once, and then you can kind of feel for it in your own time, do it some more, and really get practice going so you can see the benefit. So you can imagine a square in front of you. You can trace it out on like a desk. You can draw it and trace it any way that works best, but just the square idea in your mind. So let's do it together. Breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just doing that before any presentation, I always love doing it because it kind of calms you down and really gives you that focus and concentration. some fun fact about this as well is that the Navy SEALs used it to have focus during their high stress situations. So it's definitely scientifically proven on many levels. So I kind of wanted to get to know all of you, see how you're feeling today from 1 to 10 or 1 to 9 from each of these sheep. I think that's a really fun representation rather than saying are you happy or sad, because there's so much more to the emotions than just happy and sad. So feel free to put it in the chat from 1 to 9 how you're feeling, and if you're a teen or parent, just so I know kind of the audience out there today. I can start off. I think I feel like a 2. Feeling pretty happy, pretty excited, but also a bit tired because it's later in the night, but really excited to be here. And I'm also a teenager. Feel free to put your answer in the chat box. I'm a parent feeling a little bit of a 3 and a little bit of a 9. Yeah, I love that 3. A lot of people always say 3. 9 as well, definitely the energy. 5, yeah, sleepy, I get that. And a parent, nice to meet you. 6, yeah, I love that. And I love the spring, like the flowers there as well. It usually takes a while for me to even look at all the sheeps and find out which I feel. So no worries if you want to take some time to put it in the chat. I'll look at them later. Parent 7 over here. Tired but still going. Yeah, you got this. So I'll just go to the next slide and we can come back to this as well after. Want to make sure I share all the information in the time and have a chance for the Q&A at the end. So the plan is, first I'll share my mental health journey so you can kind of get the idea of like why the tips I'm sharing are the tips I'm sharing and how I got to be the person I am today. And also sharing mental health topics, the stigma, statistics, and most importantly, the tips for how parents can support their child and how teenagers can help in that talking situation. And then a Q&A at the end. So my mental health journey began, or my journey began about 5 years ago. I was 9 at the time, living in Ireland in Europe. And so living in Ireland, all I remember were really like happy times, great emotions, like being with my friends, my sister, we had bunnies, so much exciting stuff going on back then. And at that time in my journey, when my dad announced that he got a job opportunity in Seattle, the US, I remember me and my sister hearing that and being so excited that we could possibly move to the US for that job opportunity. And we mostly were excited because in every TV show and movie we watched, it was all about the US and like showing all these big houses, big schools and stuff. It really made us super excited for this. So after hearing this, that we could possibly move, such a big news, such a shocking news, we were like, why don't we check out the place first? And my mom suggested going to Seattle to check out the place to see if we like the house, we like the school, and everything is working great. So we flew over to Seattle in October or so of 2018, checked out the place, and over the weekdays, my dad went to his office, checking out his colleagues and how his work is. My sister, my mom, and I in the photo there, all 3 of us would go to the French bakery, Redmond Town Center, have lots of fun there. And on the weekends, we'd check out the houses and we'd go to different schools. And it was just an amazing experience. Like going to the schools, seeing how massive they were, the amazing teachers, and the houses. When we looked at how like they were triple the size of our house in Ireland, seeing how massive they were, me and my sister would run up into the house and find whose room was who and Bagsy it. It was just so exciting to see how that could be our life. So knowing that it was a good place, all the school was great, close to the house that we liked, and my dad liked his job, we decided that we're going to make this move, and it's a great opportunity for us. So as soon as we decided that in October, we had to really get going because we were planning to move in January. So we had to do all this packing and getting everything ready. Although that wasn't what me and my sister did, it was still like a lot going on. And we had to go to India in that time as well for a function going on. So it was a lot of things and a lot of packing, but at that time, the kind of emotions that I was feeling, the main one was when I was giving the bunnies to someone else. It was like really hard to be like knowing that I may never see these bunnies again and having that emotion of like leaving the bunnies that I've known for so long, even though I was scared when I first got them, being like having a relationship, but then having to leave the bunnies, that was a hard emotion to go through. But remembering who I was, a happy, fun kid, always with a smile, I continued just like, hey, I'm just going to be happy with this. I'm going to continue and force that emotion out of my mind because it's not who I am. Continued on, then the time to say goodbye to my childhood best friend came. And that was hard again because I've known her my whole life. I may never see her again. And that kind of emotion of leaving came again. But I was like, I'm the one who's always smiling. I shouldn't have a frown on my face. And no one else is talking about any of these emotions. I probably should just keep it in and push that out again. And so all of these emotions from moving until the second we got down in the US to move, more emotions piled up. Like going to school, the first day of school, and having no one to sit beside, no one coming to talk to me, no one to say hi to me, everyone having their own friends, another emotion added, a feeling left out and unwanted. Even at that time, I was still positive, like, hey, it's okay. I have my sister I can go home to and really enjoy spending time with her. But then as I started waiting to get home, got home, I saw that she locked herself in her room working, doing homework. And I was in fourth grade, so I didn't have any homework. And it was so hard to just process, like, not having my sister, my parents working, not having friends, having so much time to be lonely and think I'm unwanted, don't belong. All of these negative emotions started building more and more. And it was really hard, especially faking that smile and having so many things. But I think the hardest part of the whole thing was really that isolation. When I looked out, I saw every single person happy with a smile, looking like they're enjoying life, and even my family. And I was like, if I say this emotion, I'll make everyone in the world upset. I'll make them have a bad day, I'll make them sad, and I don't want to do that because I make everyone happy. So I should just control. At some point, it all just started building more and more, not having anyone anywhere, being alone. It started to build up so much that I couldn't handle it one day, and I suddenly burst out crying. As I cried and shared with my parents, mom, dad, and also my sister about all these things I was going through, the first thing they said to me is that you're not alone in this emotion. That they said it's okay to go through this challenge and it's a big change. We're all going through this challenge as well. And we're here for you. And first hearing that really just let go of that big bag I had on my back, thinking like I'm alone in this, knowing that I was not alone and that everyone goes through emotions that aren't just happy, really flipped that mind. But the idea of going to school the next day and not having anyone to sit beside during lunch kicked in, and I was like, it's still gonna be like that. Nothing's gonna change. So then I was like, what can I do to help myself? And decided to find a strategy to help me. And my mom actually suggested doing a mindfulness, a 5-minute mindfulness. So she was actually the mindfulness teacher at a club at a Ireland in Ireland. She had a mindfulness club there. She was a teacher there. So she was teaching a mindfulness with the four of us, 5 minutes. And during that mindfulness, imagining the clouds, the rainbows, all of it was just so amazing. That peace, focusing on the breath, it made me forget about who I was going to sit beside during lunch the next day, what I was going to do in my alone time when I had no one. I was really in this calm space I wanted to keep forever. As soon as those 5 minutes were up, I craved for longer. So then it kind of kicked in for me. Like, if I know that I'm not alone in these challenges, my family and everyone in the world goes through them, and there's one strategy to help, shouldn't there be more? So that's when I decided to go on a hunt to find all these strategies by looking at Google, looking at YouTube, asking my friends, asking my family, asking different teachers, just asking anyone I could find, while also discovering in myself that these strategies are there and which ones were there. So knowing that I had that strategy, I decided being able to use those strategies in different situations that I could help myself in my mental health journey, whenever I had an emotion and you had to acknowledge it and help myself through it. And that really clicked in. And I was like, if I can feel so confident about my mental health just with these messages and strategies, why can't I help others? And it really hit me during online learning when everyone in those Zoom boxes was faking a smile, but going through a mental health challenge. And it really clicked to me like, I felt that emotion before. If I can help those students out there with this realization that I had, the strategies I have, then they can really flip their mental health journey and feel better. So I decided that I wanted to help out there in the community and decided to start a club, the Think Positive or Empowerment Club. So starting this club in my middle school in 6th grade, it was just amazing. The experience of seeing how many students were coming together to this club online, sharing their challenges, major or minor, any challenges they were going through, and how the community built. Like, for example, one person would say, hey, I'm feeling really stressed. I have this online test tomorrow. I'm not sure what to do. The other person would say, hey, it's okay that you're having the stress. I had the stress too when I was doing that test, or I had the stress right now when I'm doing the test, or I had a similar stress. It's okay to go through that emotion. And this is something that I tried. Why don't you try it? And it was just so beautiful to see all of this coming together and helping each other in the community. Knowing that I could help a small group of people, I really wanted to spread this wider and help more people, more teenagers, more youth in their journey, and decided to write a book. I've always loved writing, and my mom actually published a book as well, so I kind of knew that it was something possible. So started writing my book, having my mental health journey, the challenges I faced, any challenge like friendship challenges, online learning challenges, challenges with my sister, or even just challenges at school and overwhelming emotions. All these emotions I wrote in the book. So a teenager, adult, or kid reading it can be like, hey, she's going through that challenge. It's okay that I'm going through it as well. Not only that, but I also wrote the strategies I used in those challenges so the reader, teen, kid, or adult can be like, hey, I felt that emotion before and challenge before. She used a tip. It seems like it helped her. Why don't I try it? And they get that idea of help, support, and hope. And so that's how, after 1.5 years of hard work, when I was 13, I got my book published, Uplifting Today, Coping Strategies for Mental Health. And it's an international best-selling book as well. Really grateful to have that resource out there. And when I wrote the book, published it clicked for me that I had a passion for mental health, advocacy, awareness, letting people know they're not alone. All of this started to really formulate. And I decided to start the Uplifting Today movement, where I went to resource fairs or created resource fairs in my middle school, high school, district-wide, went on Fox, CBS, Rochester, ABC, all these different media channels, national and international, like TV9, ETV, sharing not only these strong messages like you're not alone, let's break the stigma, but also daily or monthly tips. Like I said earlier, happy International Happiness Day. Today, actually earlier, I went on CBS and shared these different tips of how you can show empathy to regain your happiness. So like that, I do so much more. And even in KCLS, I do different Meet Teen Author talks and go out there, even talk with the president to make more advocacy work. Doing all these things, my real goal is to help other teenagers out there in their mental health journey. So that's really my journey of like how the mental health challenges I went through, how I got that support, made support for myself out of that support, and then went on to advocate further. So now, just a recap of who I am. Canberra Booty, 15-year-old, founder and president of the Teen Empowerment Club, youth ambassador for National Alliance on Mental Illness. I am a youth lead for the Washington Healthcare Authority, one of their subgroups, and also on the American Association of Pediatrics panel as well, among many more, which really give me the opportunity to share more with my peers and really be that supporter out there in others' mental health journey. And also, I didn't get a chance to talk about it earlier, but I also published these emotion cards last summer, and they really help with the idea I said a lot earlier about like, it's not just happy and sad we feel, it's so much more. And these emotion cards really emphasize that. And I'm going to talk a bit more about them as well in the parent to child relationship. So now that I shared my story, I kind of wanted to get wanted to get into what the mental health stigma is, how we can break it, and then talk about those tips I mentioned earlier as well. So, what's that? In basically the mental health stigma is kind of worded to be called a mark of disgrace as a result of stereotypes or misunderstandings. And that's something that in a lot of different fields, not just mental health, but there's stigmas and so many different things. And specifically looking at the mental health stigma, I really think this picture represents it very well. Like this person in the middle, for example, they say to their friends, I have a mental illness. They're being vulnerable. But what the friends all do is based off things they've heard in the past, like maybe strangers talking about people with mental illness could never manage their emotions. And they start pointing, because they remember that misunderstanding, that stereotype against people with mental illness, they start pointing at their friend, like, hey, you're like this because you have a mental illness. And not only does it make that friend feel bad when they're trying to be vulnerable, they're not getting the support. Worse than that, it's also acting as a barrier to get support. Like, for example, if someone says, like, that they say I have a mental illness, people are saying, hey, that's weird, that's really awkward, you should not have that, then they'll be like, that's something that's I only have, that's something I should get rid of, and if I'm the only one going through it, there's probably no way to get rid of it, so I should not get support. And that negative kind of idea comes into the head. So that kind of emphasizes how important it is to break that stigma so those people can get the support that they need. So now that we know a bit about stigma, I think the biggest way to break a stigma is to share these fast facts of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They have amazing statistics that really show how mental health is more common than we think. And the first time I even looked at these stats, I was like, this is crazy common. Like 1 in 5 US adults experience mental illness each year. 1 in 20 US adults experience serious mental illness each year. 50% of all lifetime mental illness cases start by age 14. These, and also one more about like 87% of youth have a daily mental health challenge. All of these really come together to show that mental health, either in adults, kids, mental illness, or mental health challenges are so much more common than we think. And just knowing that can break the stigma of that it's uncommon. So now we're on the same page of the stigma and one way to break the stigma. I wanted to share a couple other ways to break the stigma. Because as we probably see in our daily life, maybe workplace, at school, we all see that there is the stigma there. And if we break the stigma, we can envision how it would be so much more community-like, more bonding, and more inclusivity. And so the best ways that I found in my own journey and amongst observing different communities changing, the first is educate ourselves. Like with those NAMI facts, with different statistics, educating ourselves. Talking openly and empathetically about mental health. When your friend comes to you about mental health, you show empathy to them. All your other friends will want to be having that same relationship, and they'll start talking openly, and it'll just really bring together the empathy. Foster non-judgmental conversations. This is so key, and I think it's so important and kind of the hardest thing as well. Like, often as humans, we're prone to judging people. And it's not like it's a bad thing, but when it comes to mental health, it can make not only you have a negative impression on that person now, but also that person have a negative impression on who they are. So being non-judgmental, being open-minded and just letting them share and trying your best to be there for them is so important to break that stigma of that it's weird to go through a challenge, because that is not true. We all go through challenges. Encourage professional support. In a lot of different cultures and in a lot of different people lifestyles, professional support or therapies and mental health counselors, they're often seen as not the best way to get support and that they're not necessary. But if as a peer, your peer comes to you and says, hey, I need support, and you can't support them, let them know it is okay to get professional support. It is more than okay. That's going to help them. Clear misconceptions. That is the fifth one. So important to make sure that all these myths and misconceptions you have, you're trying your best to clear them. So you're having a more open mind. Going back to what we talked about, non-judgmental. Lastly, equalize mental and physical health. Self-explanatory. I think it's so important to know that there's more than these and also follow these so we can together as a community make sure that more people feel like they belong because they do. So time to get into the parent to child. So I'll be kind of sharing a couple ways a parent can help the child in those conversations. And I see I think there's a couple of teenagers who also are here. So I'll share a couple of ways teenagers can help with that conversation as well. Before I get into the tips, I just wanted to say at the beginning that thank you all for being such amazing parents. We really appreciate everything you do, and we know that life can be hard for us teenagers and new parents, and we're really grateful to have you in our lives. And thank you so much, and all the parents here as well. Thank you for coming to learn more ways to support your child, and I'm just so amazed to see this and so grateful. Thank you. So, I'm seeing there's a lot of people who are interested in using the chat, and I always want to make this interactive so it's not just me talking forever. So before we get into the tips that I, from my experience with my parents and observing others, found, I kind of wanted to see what do you think or what works for you as a parent to help your child in different mental health situations. Like if they say they're stressed, overwhelmed, or your child has a mental illness, what type of things do you do when having a conversation with them? And you can just drop it in the chat as well. Listen to them without interruptions. That is so important. And I think that's kind of a two-way thing as well. Parents listening to the child without any interruptions, as well as the child listening to the parents being empathetical towards them without interruptions. And that can really foster a conversation where both people equally care about what others have to say. So important. I'll give you maybe like a minute or so. I know it takes a lot to type things out on Zoom as well. We can have a bubble where they can just talk and I listen with no judgment. And I'll see if they. That is perfect. I really like that idea of like imagining like a bubble there where you can just let them talk and listening and giving them that time and respect even with no judgment. I love that. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. And I think it's so important as well to share these different ways that we help each other, help each other in different communities, like different parents, different children, because we're all unique. And I love doing this in different events because different parents can connect with other parents doing the same things or learn something new because we can always learn from each other. Perfect. I can come back to this after. I'll just get into the slides so we have enough time for Q&A. Perfect. So I know there's a lot of different text on the screen, but I'll just go through them slowly one by one so it makes more sense in the text. So the first one is listen. And when you're replying to them, like your child wants to talk about their day and how stressful it was, you listen to them. And then when they're done talking, just try to be non-judgmental. Like, don't like give out to them about having a certain emotion or feeling. Just be like, hey, it's okay to have that feeling and talk, just be supportive to them. Like anytime, like sharing, being a teenager, sharing out your emotions or even a child, it can be hard because you're not sure, like, is this something normal people experience? Is it just me? Am I different? Because no one talks about it at that age. And I think it's important for the parent to just try to be as supportive as they can and to really let them know, hey, you can share your emotion here. I'm going to be here for you and we can have this conversation together. I think it's so important to really start off with listening and being non-judgmental. Second one is having an open mind conversation. Oftentimes, like, kind of connects to non-judgmental as well. Just being open to what they're saying and to like how they're going to respond and really like what's going on, because we never know what like a teenager at school would experience. Even like I don't know what my friends experience on a day-to-day basis. So just being open-minded to whatever they're gonna say. And it may be hard, like you're not sure how to react, but just do your best to let them know that they can talk. The third one, actually, like that's really personal with me, like having the parent practice along with the child. That's what I said my mom actually did 5 years ago when I was going through all these emotions. She did this mindfulness, and she didn't just say, Tanvi, you're gonna do this mindfulness and I'm just gonna guide you through it and you just do it by yourself and we'll all three just watch you. It was kind of, let's do this together. And I remember that to this day because that was just a really big change for me. It was like, I'm not alone in this. Even though I'm the one going through this challenge right now, my parents are here for me and they're always going to be here for me. And that concept really clicked in when I was doing that with my parents and my sister. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, bring the square breathing to your teen when you go home or to your child when you go home and talk through the square breathing, do it together. You can go on my website, read my book, and find these different strategies like belly breathing, square breathing, doing lazy eight breathing, 5-finger breathing. There's so many more. Maybe not just breathing as well. Maybe to-do lists. Maybe having different like self-cares, all these different things. Practice along with the child because it will not only bond your relationship, but it also makes a lasting impact on the child's experience as well, sharing with their parent. Increase understanding. I think this is kind of one of those two-way things where like you need the increased understanding from the parent side. If it's a child going through mental illness, trying to understand the mental illness rather than being judgmental, like you shouldn't have this. What causes this? How can we help sort of increase your understanding on the subject? And the teenagers as well, increasing understanding about what's going on. After that, share your experiences. And this is kind of like a sometimes thing to do. Sometimes, like if I'm sharing with my parents, like I'm going through this challenge and it's really stressful and I'm just having a lot of hard time with this test, I don't know how to prepare. Sometimes like them offering solutions help, but sometimes them just being a pillar of support is more helpful. So it's kind of your choice of like asking them once they share. Like my parents would ask me like, do you want us to offer just support, words of advice, or words of advice and solutions? Or do you want us to share our experiences with this? And those are the kind of 3 ways that you can respond. Let them know that you're a pillar of support. Let them know that you can share your experiences, or let them know that you can try to give your advice. Because oftentimes it's not like teenagers never want advice from their parents. We do a lot of the times, but sometimes we just need a voice, someone there to listen to our voice. Excuse me. Let them know that you love them. I know a lot of times, I know that a lot of times, even though like being a peer with my peers, I experience this. I don't know how to react to them. I'm not sure like what I'm supposed to do right now sometimes when they're going through the challenge. And the most important thing is I just say, hey, you mean a lot to me and I'm gonna be here for you. And let them if my sister shares something, I let her know that I love her no matter what and I'm here to help. And I think just even though your child knows that you love them a lot, I think maybe just redefining that in a struggling situation. Because always when you're going through a challenge, finding the positives can really help bring you out of that challenge in a healthy way. Like for example, this week I was so stressed with like 3 tests I have to do, big finals tests. And then when my parents were like, hey, we love you no matter what, even though I know that, them just saying that really helped with that stress emotion I was going through. Like I have them, even if I don't have a good grade in this test, I still have them, but I'm going to study my best because I want to be happy about this. So it's kind of that back of your head kind of relaxational thought that they love you. Like I said earlier, offer support, not solutions, unless they want solutions. Actively listening, those 2 are actually great ways to show empathy. And then like physical health, be caring. And for this, I actually like to use an analogy because I love analogies personally. So it's like, for example, if a child was to get a burn on their finger, the first thing, like when a parent, as they come up, if it's like a physical health problem or like a physical burn, they wouldn't just scream at them saying, "Why did you get burned? You should not get burned. That's very bad." They would start to be caring, like, "Hey, are you okay? Does that pain? How can I help the pain?" And I think the same reaction should be there for mental health. Putting that into the mental health way, it's like if someone shares that they have a mental health challenge, rather than the parent being like, "Don't do that, you should not have a mental health challenge, always be happy, always smile." The parent can be like, "Hey, I'm here," and showing that care and support, the initial thing, and then seeing how they can support that child through the 3 ways we talked about earlier. So important. Just to recap the analogy, if you're going through physical health and you get like maybe a rash or a burn, the parent won't give out to you first. They'll offer care and support and love, and that makes the child feel better. Same with the physical health, mental health. Do the same thing. Offer love, care, and support to them, and then after that, you can talk through how you can help them, like you would talk through how to help a physical burn or physical issue. So these are kind of the tips from parent to child. Feel free to take a picture as well. And I heard there's also going to be a recording of this online as well if you want to come back to it. And again, like that slide said, you're doing amazing jobs as parents, and even just being here today shows how much you care and how much you want to support your child that much more. Yeah, I love that in the chat. Saying I love you to your kids is important, even if they roll their eyes or don't return the I love you. Hearing it makes a difference to them. That is so true. And talking from a child perspective as well, I know my friends who roll their eyes at their parents when they say that, but at the bottom of their heart, it really matters to them. So, if you have any questions, you can feel free to put them in the chat. I can talk through them now or at the end, but I'll also go to the teenager side as well. So teenagers and children, if you're here listening, these are kind of the main things that I think from a teen perspective, how I would approach in a conversation with my parent and I talk about mental health challenge or just a stress or anxiety or anything like that. I think the first and most important thing is like if especially high school and middle school, there's so much activities that we do, so much stress in school, so much studying we need to do. And the most important thing is like if you're trying to open up about something, just kind of let your parents know how much time you have. I know this may sound silly, but like if I have like an emotion or something I need to share with my parents, I'm like, I'm gonna work in 20 minutes or so, but this has been bothering me. And I think that kind of sets that timeline so you're not at the back of your mind when your parents are trying to help you being like, I shouldn't be doing this, I should be going to work. You already set that time out for your mental health care. That's so important. As a teen, feeling better about that, and also as an adult, they can know how they can support you and how much time they have before you're too busy. The next one is listen to them, and also kind of listen to them the way that they're speaking. I know oftentimes when we're going through a challenge and we share, we kind of assume what our parents are going to think about us, but just listen and kind of focus on what the words they're saying are, giving them the eye contact. Be open because they're obviously there to support you and really help you in your journey. So be open, share what's going on, and if they have any questions, let them know like you don't feel comfortable answering them, or if you do answer them, and just try your best to be open. I know it can be hard, especially if it's something at school and it's a whole story you need to explain, but try your best. Remember that they want to help. I know sometimes it's like when you're going through this challenge, you ask your parent, can I have some advice? And then it kind of gets into like you should have been doing this thing, and then I don't want to do this because this. At the end of the day, just kind of remember that they want to help you and they're just trying their best as well. And that's so important to remember because as a relationship, you're growing not only like the second one says, you're learning and growing together. And again, remember that they love you. So those are kind of the tips let's go back to the tips from the parent to the child and for the teens to react. You can take a picture of this as well. And I think maybe like the biggest takeaway really is like knowing all these tips. Maybe the next time you have a conversation about this with your child, you can kind of say, I wanted to try these things. to help in our conversation. And so I'm going to be trying these, like maybe list the ones that you're going to be trying, because I think that's kind of a fun way to show that, hey, you care about them, you care about these conversations, and also so you can kind of remember that you're doing that as well. Thank you again for being such amazing parents. So I know I talked a lot. I love talking, but I kind of want to talk about the key takeaways so we get the best summary. I think I'll start with the image first, because this is one of the most important messages that I've gotten from my parents, and that's it's okay to not be okay. Like when I was zooming back 5 years ago, when I was going through these challenges, the first thing they did was acknowledge my emotion and say it's okay to not be okay. Validating that feeling is a valid feeling. I like how the image also shows like I'm not okay, and that person saying that's okay. Because feeling okay or feeling like a good emotion, it's not always going to be like that. Sometimes we have bad days, bad timings, maybe a bad school classroom or something like that. And just remember it's okay to not feel okay 24/7. And understanding that, acknowledging that is important. Know that your mental health matters. You matter. People are ready to help you, especially a teenager, knowing that. Sharing limitations is okay. Like, I didn't go over this, but like if a child has a mental illness and they kind of say that they have anxiety, and then maybe you go to the doctor and a psychologist and mental health professional realize it is a mental illness, let this show, like as a parent, you can let the child know, hey, I love you, we're in this together, I'm going to support you, I'm going to try my best. And then say that you're not a professional, so you can't help with like all the things, but you're going to together find someone to help, and you're going to be along them with that journey. And this is kind of a bit more focused because I know like parents know a bit more in the field of getting help and support in any health field, but I think also peer-to-peer connection. I know we didn't talk about how peers can help peers in school, but that's another way. Like if your friend comes up to you and says, hey, I'm going through this, say that, hey, I'd love to help you, I'm going to try my best, but just know that I'm not a professional, so we can talk to the school counselor. Sharing limitations all the time is okay to do because you matter. You're not alone. There is hope and help. Breaking the stigma is possible in our community, and prioritize mental health as you do your physical health. So just to recap, I shared about these different products I created for you to support myself as well. I use the emotion cards all the time, and the strategies in my book, and also to help all of you out there, parents, teens, kids, anyone interested. Just to recap the book, Uplifting Today, Coping Strategies for Mental Health, you can purchase that on my website, www.tanvi.us. It's in bottom corner and should be in the chat soon as well. And my book kind of shares, like I said, my personal journey, the strategies I used in those challenges. Not only does it have the strategies, but it has QR codes to these videos. I explain the strategy more from a teen perspective, because that's so important. Empowering message that you're not alone, and so many more messages, and really life-changing, I think transformative messages and strategies in there. So helpful, and they're actually in many schools nationwide as well. And then the second thing that I've created is let me just show the boxes that I shared. Like we have to-do list as one of the tips. Can you see that? Are you able to see my screen okay?
I can see your screen, but I'm not there. I can see you now. You had kind of glitched out just a little bit. There we go.
Maybe my internet's a bit slow. Well, I think I'm frozen there.
Yeah, I can see your book is what you're holding up is what we're seeing.
Okay, we're good now. So that's kind of like it's kind of like a square and a QR code, information on the steps to do the strategy and the benefits. So definitely all throughout my book, there's more than 20 strategies in there. And then my emotion cards deck. I feel like this is an amazing way, especially for teenagers, for the parent to teenager conversation, because I feel like as a teenager, opening up about my emotions can be so hard. Like I have 7 classes I go to, each class I have a different emotion, different feeling, going through all these challenging emotions and then coming home and then having to share it with my parents, I'm not sure what I feel all sorts of things, and I kind of forget the definition of what stress is, anxiety is, overwhelmed is. And so that's the reason I created these emotion cards. I actually like wrote out different emotions and the definitions when I was a lot younger, trying to help myself with this. And I was like, this helped me so much. I want to help others with this. And the idea is you have 6 main emotion cards, like surprise, fear, sad, happy, all these different 6 emotions. And like, for example, if I'm feeling fear, flip to the back, says signs, symptoms, and prompts. So you can understand the signs of fear, the symptoms of fear, and for the prompts, your parent can ask you, are you feeling this? Are you feeling that? And if you answer yes to most of them, then you know it's fear. And then you go a step further. In the purple color of fear, there's lighter purple cards, and it's like worried, anxious, stressed, or worried, anxious, all these different emotions that are subcategories of fear. You pick one up, and it has like an emoji. It has an emoji on it like that, has the name of it, and then has a little description. So you're like, hey, I'm feeling worried. If the description suits you, the emoji suits you, turn to the back, and you have the definition of 2 sub emotions of that worried. So for example, I go to worried, flip the card around, have 2 sub examples of worried. And for one of those sub examples, it will be like a definition and a strategy. And the one below, a definition and a strategy. So it's kind of helping you to identify the specific emotion with definitions to help along the way. So you can find a strategy to help you, but also acknowledge that emotion. And I use it so much with my parents and sister as well. Whenever I'm going through something, not sure what it is, I pull out the emotion cards deck. I find these emotions, help myself through it, get their help with it as well. Use the cheat sheets if I don't have enough time as well. So all sorts of amazing, easy to use as well. There's a manual in there as well in case you wanted to learn more about how to use it as well. So you can purchase that on my website as well, and the links will be in the chat there.
Tanvi, I have to say that I love the way you set that up, because just today I'm in some therapist group, and one of the therapists was saying, what do we do if our teen clients won't talk about their feelings? And one of the things I was offering up to her is that sometimes, first of all, we don't know what that feeling is. But also, maybe it's like the idea of trying to figure out which feeling this is kind of taken away from feeling a feeling. So I like that you have this, hey, are you feeling this? Perhaps you're feeling that. Like, what is it that you're feeling versus like, let's label it. So I really appreciate that. I think it was great.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. And I'm really happy to hear like that a lot of the therapists are saying it's working, because it's really breaking that barrier, not only the barrier, but also enhancing a relationship. So it's so beautiful to see. Like, I love when I see different parents coming to the stalls or book fair stalls that I have and saying, hey, they want this. The parents could say, hey, I want this for the kids. The kids love the cards and the emojis. And also when I hear like different aunts and uncles coming saying they want it for their nephew and nieces, it's just so beautiful to see how they want to build their connection and help each other in their journey. And it's just so exciting to see how these can really have a transformative power in that way.
Yeah, it's really great.
Thank you. So I think this is the last slide. So those are ways that I am working towards and created those products and working towards making more as well. So it would be great if you could support me so I can help ensure that I'm doing more, supporting more, and helping more people. So if you could scan this QR code and follow me on Instagram at tanvis.inspiration, that would be an amazing support. And also, like I have the Instagram, Facebook. You can email me with any questions. Check out my YouTube with tips I share, and my website with blogs, all sorts of things. So love to get involved with you as well. And thank you so much for listening and for your time. Not sure, hopefully you have 8 minutes for questions. I'd love to take any questions. And thanks again, Shelly, for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And I love this. And it sounds like this would be great, not just for the parents to be following you, but for their teens. And especially teens are getting so much negative stuff online. So if you can get Tanvi in their feed, it's going to be great. So they have some positive influences coming through, not just all the negatives. It would be great. Okay, so let's do some questions. first question I have for you is, do you find that teens are receiving the support they need in schools? And if so, what are some examples? And if not, and it might be a combo, if not, what do you think that they can kind of change up in the school setting?
This is actually a perfect question. Um, I personally, as a student, feel like I'm not getting support in that field. And that's why I decided to do that mental health resource fair and all those in my school with that teen voice. And actually, my newest project after my book and cards is called Nexus, Mental Health Hub for Schools. Really passionate about this because as a student, I know how important mental health support is and how much I don't receive of it in school. And
Hmm.
so the idea of Nexus is to help. It's kind of this online platform I'm working on, going to be launched and piloted in my high school and then district-wide and nationwide. The idea is to bring all these different resources, organizations, informations together into one collective platform. So students aren't wasting their time on Google trying to find all these information, what's best. Information, there'll be strategies, mental health professional videos, teen-made strategy videos, peer-to-peer talks, when the mental health resource fair in your district will be. So all these coming together in one platform, and many students said that they love this idea. They think it'll help them so much. And when I was doing those resource fairs, speaking my story, all that, they said they loved it, but they wanted something like this, something continuous, something that they could go to 24/7 for trusted info, for really that peer-to-peer connection and breaking the stigma. So that's what I'm working on and actually piloting it in the North Shore School District. Would love to share it to other districts as well. So if you'd like to email me and we can kind of coordinate from there how we can get that in your district to help your student as well, that would be amazing. Thank you for
Yeah.
that wonderful question.
Yeah, I love that. So it sounds like, and I think this is one thing that we talked about with the Balance in Mind team was that sometimes we as adults come in and we're like, this is what they need. But really, we need to be talking straight to the teens and straight to the kids and finding out what they need and creating that for them. I think that is just really important that we're listening. It comes down to not listening just parent to child, but society to children and to teens. We need to know, hey, what's going to make a difference in your life? So
Mhm.
I love that you're doing that. That sounds like an amazing new program that you're doing. And I, by the way, don't know how you find the time to do everything you do. It's pretty amazing, but I know you're passionate about it. And when you are passionate about it, it doesn't seem like stress. It seems like it's different. You're like willing to put in that time, right?
Yeah. And
Okay, go ahead. Did you want
sure,
to
yeah,
add
I just
something?
wanted to add one part to that question as well. When I
Mm-hmm.
said that there isn't support, it's kind of from that teen aspect and the continuous support. Of course, there's always those counselors in schools, and I
Mm-hmm.
personally love talking to my counselor. It makes me feel a lot better and more calm. So always the school counselors you can reach out to, and different people in school. There's also school psychologists, librarians, teachers. They're all there to support you. And I think the thing that I feel is lacking is like that student support and that continuous support, and that's what Nexus aims to do as well. So just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, interesting. And one thing that I do find is that I'm glad that you feel comfortable talking to counselors. I do talk to a lot of teens that are not comfortable with that.
Mhm.
So I think we need to do some work as the adults in the situation to figure out how do we bring it, or how I guess it's breaking the stigma of going to the school counselor, not being scared of going to the school counselor or anxious about it. I know there's some kids who are worried it's going to get back to all their teachers or get back to other peers, or so we need to do a better job of making that kind of a safe space for them to go. But I am glad that you're being a role model for your peers to go and do that and to talk to people. All right,
Excellent.
another question for you. You mentioned this, and I know this to be true, that a lot of kids fake it like everything's good, they're wearing the mask of everything is fine. And so if that's the case, then how do parents know that there's something going on?
That's a good question. I think a lot of times more common than we even think. We just kind of mask ourselves like, hey, everything's okay. But I really think what parents can do to the best of their ability is just be like, hey, if anything is going on, I am here and I'm here to listen to you. I'm not gonna give you advice if that's not what you want. I'm just here to be there for you and see how we can support each other in this journey. And I think personally for me, if I'm like trying to just ignore that emotion, it if my parents say at least 2 times or even maximum 3 times that statement, whenever I feel comfortable opening up, I open up about it. And so it's kind of hard because as a parent, I probably don't understand this very well, but as a parent, you probably want to jump in there and help your child, don't want to see them struggling. But also it's important to give them the space and time. So when they need it, they come to you and you let them know that you're there for them. So that's kind of the way that I see it, the best way to tackle that.
Right. So to set a foundation, don't wait until they seem like they're miserable or something is going on. Always kind of putting that out there. I'm here for you. I love you. I care about you. And if anything's going on, you can come talk to me.
Definitely.
Yeah. Without judgment, without a lecture. And I know that what I hear from teens is I don't want to talk to my parents because I don't want to get a lecture. So we have to make sure that listening is a conversation. It's a supportive conversation, not just oh, that's going on. Let me tell you all the ways to fix it and all the things you're doing wrong. All that. Yeah, we got to stay away from that. Okay, let's do one more question before we sign off for tonight. Let's see. Which one should we do here? You mentioned this, that when kids are feeling kind of big emotions, they feel alone. And so what is it that we can do, not just as parents, but maybe as the school system or as peer-to-peer? How do we make sure that people don't feel alone? And I actually want to say not alone, but lonely. I think lonely is actually the word we're looking for there, because you can feel lonely even in a group of people, right? So yeah, how do we make sure people don't feel lonely?
Yeah, I think that's something that like I said in my journey I experienced, and I think I like the way you changed that to lonely because that makes a lot more sense. Because like alone makes it physical alone, but lonely is mentally lonely. And I think the best way to tackle this is personally sharing your story and really like having understanding like other people are going through challenges. Because that's what hit me when like I realized other people are going through mental health challenges, that it's okay and that it's normal. And I think from a teen's perspective, if you're a teen out there going through this feeling lonely emotion, there's different like platforms out there that share student testimonials. And actually, it's Free to Love, an amazing organization. And they share different testimonials of students sharing their challenge. And I submitted my video there talking about friendship challenges. And it was amazing to see how many people that impacted. And I think hearing other people's voices, even if it's online and soon in the Nexus platform, it'll be there as well. Hearing these different anecdotes, that's the most important way that you can feel less lonely because you're knowing that you're legitimately not alone in this.
I love that. Yeah. It's being vulnerable and being real with people, not constantly walking around with that mask of fine. And that's something we can role model as parents too, that we don't have to act like everything is good all the time. It's okay for us to have our days where some are great and some are not, to kind of talk about that and bring that up and yeah, be the role model to show it doesn't have to be great every single day. That's okay. All right. Okay, so it's 8 o'clock. So I just want to thank everybody, Tanvi, especially you, for coming tonight and presenting such great information. We will be sending out a link to the recording, so everybody will have that, as well as the links to Tanvi's things that she has, the book and the emotions card and such, and have your kids follow her and you follow her as well. But you know, just let's get the word out that this is a great resource. Tanvi's doing great work, and we want to make sure that her voice is heard so that we can help other people and support them. So yes, thank you everyone. And if you have, before you go, if you can just leave in the chat box a kind word for Tanvi, and you can do reactions too for her, some hearts or something, just to say thanks for her for taking her time to be here, because she is a busy student. So Tanvi, thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. If you have any extra questions that come up, anybody, you can always email us or email Tanvi, and we will make sure that we answer those for you. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sherry, for having me. Thank you all for joining. It was amazing having this community where we can talk about this. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Tanvi.